Alrighty, my friends, we are live on Instagram and we are live on YouTube. And there has been so much drama this weekend. I wanted to drop in and just share a little bit to note about the importance of mirror neurons. And one of the things that comes to mind around mirror neurons is this concept of how we are reacting to the news, how we are reacting to loved ones around us, how our intuitive channel is connected to all of these different aspects as well. And so I wanted to open up what holographic readings and a holographic lifestyle looks like within terms of the multidimensional field. So if you ever heard of mirror neurons, it's basically a like meets like, and how we basically become a part of a society, a like-minded society, through how we receive and reflect off of each other's actions. Now, we can be a co-creator, or we can go to the destruction of our co-creation. And to get really clear in understanding who's in charge, we have to step into the law of resonance and how it affects us on an individual level, on a personal level, and a familiar level, meaning family. So when we enter this world, we resonate with patterns. They're oftentimes contractual agreements. And these are also subconscious beliefs and behaviors that we inherit from cycles and cycles prior. And it is interconnected into this morphogenetic field, influencing how we live our life, how we're present, how we create our reality through these mirror neurons. And when we witness healing and expansion in others, it triggers that similar response in our own brain and in our own body. Now, the same is true when we witness suffering or trauma. When the energy, as such as this weekend, we're glued to the TV, we're glued to the media. And this is how the news functions. It immerses us all in the spell of tell, lie, vision. It's an emotional state. But we can really choose to live in that same principle for our own benefit by consciously focusing on pausing before we react to choose to respond. Whether that's a reflection of a conversation with a friend or a family member, it's really a matter of how we can activate our mirror neurons to catalyze our transformation. And this is why creating this warm, evolutionary ecosystem with others that have the same desire and our values is so important, as well in our family systems. So as one member begins to heal in the family or friends or colleagues in work, it triggers this morphogenetic field and network of connection. And so the other piece here is around judgment. And the key is to approach this process without judgment. Because when we feel the pain of others, it is an invitation to alchemize that energy. And we get entangled in it. So by holding a non-judgmental space, we really allow that deeper information and pattern to emerge. And that is what facilitates the transformation. It's the moment that you feel somebody's energy, if you're holding space for them, is the moment you break holding that sacred space. You take on their density as the law of resonance in this universal principle that connects all of us. So when we're holding space, we're creating an invitation of non-judgmental observation, where we don't label emotions good or bad. It's not black or white, but when we hold space for others, especially in a time in our world today, we have to remove the judgment. And this is what really allows the healing frequencies to integrate into our bodies. It's based on the observation of the energetic signature that transforms the signature by being a witness. This is energetic. So by understanding it, practicing non-judgment presence, we can really unlock our own healing and contribute this to the collective healing of our communities, our families, and the world. So I wanted to share the importance of non-judgmentalism as we move into the weeks ahead. Now, I have always said, just going live over on Instagram as well, but I have always said that, you know, when we get that sign, that signal of my fellow Americans, which we did today from Melania, you know, whatever you think of the event, it really comes down to what I was just sharing in how I view clients in psychic readings as holographic. And to review, for everybody that's on Instagram, did a live just run through of the law of resonance and the law of transference between mirror neurons and how they work in such a time as this in society. And so to review, when we are holding space for others, now I'm not talking about what I do, whether it's in the salon and spa, or I'm in a psychic reading with an individual or doing a call. Holding space for others is something I believe that we can start practicing every day in our life. And when we understand the law of resonance and mirror neurons, we can look at the obvious, the tell, lie, vision, right? It's a spell, so tell, lie, vision. This is a mirror neuron. You and I are in a mirror neuron experience right now. So the more that we can remove our judgment when we are having a conversation with someone, create the pause of the respond versus react, you start to create a morphogenetic field that in the moment, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, etc., that morphogenetic field is connected to all the past lifetimes, timelines, that affects the current and the future timelines. This is how we're creating a new Earth. And so much of this story, which hit a first-time peak today, as far as now is going to be the progression of what is ahead, is basically the messaging system from the top of the light. I call it the prism of light. It's where I go vertical in my psychic readings. It's instant truth and it's instant light that you cannot deny. Where horizontal, that prism, as far as the intuitive world, is your familiar background. It's your environment. It's your DNA. It's all of these different things that you pull in as far as what's around you horizontally. It's a sensory system. It's your clairs as far as the psychic. But when you get vertical, which happened yesterday, was the vertical information of this next phase is kicked off. And I wanted to send just a message of love and a message of hope that when you're creating a new world, those that have protected it, whether it's the galactics or it's quote unquote the white hats, we've had to get far enough along to create that new world in order to trigger the next world. Because there's enough of a grassroots that has been created that has the intel of the information that's underneath, that when this then comes out in the public, there is nowhere else to turn. So those that have created the old world, the darkness, the deceit, the capitalism, which is not capitalism, the entire infrastructure of control of information, monetary, you name it. We're at a point where that system, we're still at a spiritual war, is no longer. And so this weekend is really about celebration. And to bring in the last piece around mirror neurons, again, as a reminder, you can go to the YouTube Seed Your Success channel. I gave an explanation of this over on Instagram. Is that we come into this world with contractual agreements. We also have free will. And those of you that are alive today have a high calling. And that high calling is to understand the power of the law of transference, which is energy, and the mirror neurons. So when we are in familiar contracts, meaning family contracts, it's important that we understand that we are literally in a simulation. So when we can remove the judgment, create the space in the simulation that allows us to respond versus react, and understand that we are in a morphogenetic field. And so if we can take control back of how we support, how we love, how we respond in a time as we move forward in this spiritual war, we literally continue to create the morphogenetic light of what reality we want to live in this world. So it is a calling to you to step into responsibility of your own mirror neurons, that you're aware, you're stepping into a life of awareness. How am I reflecting to someone? Because I'm either co-creating or I am not creating and I am in destruction. Chaos always comes into order. So that's the good news. But are you going to co-create with chaos? You don't have to go thousands of years in fixing yourself. For me, this week, I called upon a spiritual healer that does psychic surgery to go into the many, 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 many timelines to pull all of that density out, because I know my next calling and I need all that density gone. We can do that with each other. And then there's deeper levels for those that sense a higher calling. It's all mirror neurons. It's correcting the mirror neurons that were created in other timelines. And it's also being present to make sure that you're not repeating them now that you have awareness. So as we move forward in the spiritual war, understand that the world that was created has now been uncreated enough to get us to this point as my fellow Americans' message came out. Where we move forward is going to be chaotic, but it's going to be chaos out of order. And our responsibility is to stand in a non-power over structure and a non-power under structure, where we stand in a power within, meaning I'm going to stand in my power and I'm going to allow you to stand in your power. And that's what we're being called to right now. So sending you all my love. If you need support, please, please, please reach out. There is a 30-minute reading. We can hop on the phone and I do a holographic mapping of what's going on in your emotional circuits. We go ahead and we take a look at what is your core issue or core problem or core question or core clarity, so that we can bring clarity into the field, release the density, and understand the sacred unconscious contracts so you can feel lighter, move quickly, and be confident in this next phase. And then you also can do a 1 email reading, which is quick, to the point, and super, super beneficial for those on the move that don't have a ton of time. So all my love, all my light. Thanks for joining me live. If you have any questions, reach out. But just remember, as you move forward, you are a mirror neuron, and you are creating a morphogenetic field around you. So here to encourage you all. And if you have any needs, just reach out and I would love to serve you in a holographic reading. All right, that's it, my friends.